Hi Virgo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your July 2026 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as will be in front of us, it's a 12 card spread with each card representing a different house of the zodiac. Starting with your sign, Virgo is the first house, all the way through to Leo representing the 12th. After we get through that, we'll actually pull an oracle card as well with some additional insight. As far as the decks being used this month, for the main tarot deck, we have the Guardian of the Night Tarot, and for the Oracle deck, will be used in the Spirit Animal Oracle. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling some astrology dice to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, so we have 1, so in this context, this would just be your sign, and as far as astrologically, what's going on in your sign, on the 9th of July, we'll actually have Venus moving into your sign, and then toward the end of the month, on the 26th, we'll actually have the South Node moving out of your sign and into Leo. So, two significant things there. All right, we also have Taurus. So for you guys, Taurus is your 9th house. In general, 9th house points to philosophy, higher learning, and foreign affairs. Astrologically speaking, we did just have Chiron enter into Taurus recently, so there could definitely be some shifting around your beliefs potentially. And, well, yeah, speaking of the South Node, I was just saying how it's been in your sign for quite some time, and now basically on the 26th, it'll be shifting out of your sign and into Leo. So we'll keep all of that in mind as we go through the main spread, I should say. All right, so starting with the first house, we have the Page of Wands. So, yeah, so in general, first house points to personality, self-awareness, and appearance. And to see this here, to me, says you'll probably have some pretty good vitality this month. I feel like this is saying you'll probably be a little bit more action-oriented, maybe taking on a bit more of a spirit of adventure in general, too. Just wanting to explore, maybe travel a little bit. All right, so for the second house, which points primarily to possessions, self-worth, and finances, we have the Strength card. So this is Leo energy here. And seeing this artwork, to me, more so than strength, let's say, like almost in an overpowering way, it's more of like a courageous vibe that I'm getting from this time. So I'd just be saying that maybe if you had some things that you needed to tackle around your finances, I feel like this is saying you actually be willing to take that on this month and just get it done. All right, for the third house, which points to communication, short journeys, and siblings, we have the Ace of Wands. So yeah, so this might be tied into what we were seeing with the Page of Wands in the first house, as far as maybe your creativity will be sparked this month, right? So you might be the person within communication, maybe with friend groups, or even just one-to-one communication, where maybe you'll be the one with the creative ideas this month, right? But another way this could be playing out with the Ace energy as well could just be saying maybe you'll have a lot of thoughts around those things, but maybe you won't openly communicate them at all times. Okay, so for your fourth house energy, which points primarily to home, roots, and family, we have the Devil. So Capricorn energy here, and that actually, for you guys is a fifth house energy typically, but to see this here, I feel like this is saying that what I'm getting from this primarily could just be saying that when you're within your home environment, you might start to get a little bit obsessive, right? So you might almost be better off taking a bit more of that exploratory Page of Wands energy where you do get out and about a little bit more, because I feel like this is saying when you are within your home environment, maybe your thoughts will start raising a little bit more, right? You start ruminating, and then, it just becomes a cycle that might burn you out a little bit. But that's what I see with that. All right, for your fifth house energy, which points primarily to romance, creativity, and children, we have the Page of Swords. So yeah, so for some of you, maybe there's a bit of an opportunity that you want to explore, whether it be around maybe launching a creative project. If that's the case, there could be a bit of a timid energy around that for you guys, where you feel like, you could have a little bit of doubt, like, are you ready to move forward with it or not, right? Or at the very least, if you're going to work on it, are you willing to publicly let people know that you're working on it, right? Or give them previews of it, or would you ever keep it under wraps for the time being? And then around romance could be similar as far as, if you do have interest in someone, there could be the desire to come forward and express the interest, but then you might find yourselves backing out of it every now and again, right? So ultimately, I feel like you will still come forward, but it will be after some hesitation and deciding, oh, well, let me just observe a little more. So could just be some delays with that. For your sixth house energy, which points primarily to health, work, and daily routines, we have the Three of Cups. So the interesting thing with the artwork in this deck is we do see one of those cups is knocked over, right? Which almost makes you think more of the Five of Cups energy. But seeing this here, it could just be saying that there could be opportunities to celebrate, right? Maybe reasons to celebrate as well. Maybe around something with related to your work lives, right? But seeing that cup knocked over to me also says, just try not to overdo it, right? Given that sixth house is also an energy pointing to health as well. So nothing major there, right? So overall, looks like there will be the opportunity to celebrate, but just being a little bit measured around it. For your seventh house energy, which points primarily to partnerships, contracts, and relationships, we have the Four of Pentacles. So really what I'm getting here for the most part would be pointing to restraint, right? If we just take the artwork at face value, and Four of Pentacles in almost any deck does tend to point to that, maybe in different ways, but overall that's a bit of an energy there, right? Of restraint, conservation. So it could just be one of those things where when it comes to your partnership, you might feel a little bit more blocked off, right? And maybe it's just because you have so many things on your mind based on what we were looking at in the first row there, right? So you could just have a lot going on right now, and you might not have much left as far as your battery might not be fully charged to give a lot to your relationship after all those things, right? So you could just be feeling a little bit more tired and not really putting a lot of energy directly toward the connection. But then on the flip side of that too, there could also maybe be a little bit of disappointment on your part if the other person isn't picking up some of the slack, right? So that could be what's going on there. For your eighth house energy, we have the Nine of Cups. So eighth house points primarily to death, rebirth, intimacy, and investments. With this, I'm getting for a lot of you, this gives me more of a feel that this could be more related to investments, right? So maybe investments, maybe because that strength energy we see there, right? Because you did what needed to be done, right? You stayed focused, you stayed restrained when needed to. You could just be seeing some of the successes from that now, right? So maybe you're seeing some investments that have grown over the years, things along those lines. But this could be related to intimacy as well, to an extent, from what we were talking about with the fifth house energy, right? So could be pointing to some successes there too. All right, so for your ninth house energy, which we saw with the dice as well, we have the Eight of Pentacles. So this is actually a Virgo energy. And seeing this here could just be saying that for some of you, maybe you're trying to teach yourself some things, right? So it could be more advanced learning around the situation, but at the same time, I feel like this is saying you're trying to go more so the self-taught route around it. So even if you use official documentation, right? So published books, things along those lines there, I feel like you're trying to primarily get the hang of it for yourself, right? Because usually that's the best way to be able to recreate something and even improve on something is if you have a firm understanding of it yourself versus just being able to regurgitate what's in a book or what's in a guide, right? So that could be something that you guys are working on right now. All right, so for your 10th house energy, which points primarily to career and social status, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So Taurus energy here. What I'm getting with this could just be saying that, if we take the artwork at face value, right, we see the spider, we see the pentacles and the webs. So it could just be saying it's one of those things where you're looking at the work that you've done to secure some of the successes that you've gotten to this point, right? But then also asking yourself, do you want to put in the energy to continue it, right? It could be one of those things where you might feel comfortable to the point where you could do it in your sleep. But at the same time, you're like, well, do I just want to continue with this cycle, right? Does it feel like it's repetitive? Am I really seeing any true indicators of growth through the situation, or does it just seem like the same thing over and over again? All right. And for your 11th house energy, which points to friendships, groups, hopes, and wishes, we have the Queen of Swords. So this is Libra energy here. And what I'm getting with this could just be saying that you could be quite measured this month, as far as um, just having an inner knowing around when to speak, right? What to say, what not to say, right? So, super generic example, let's say your friend comes to you seemingly for advice, right? But there's part of you that knows that they don't actually want advice, they just want to vent. So you might be like, all right, I'll just stay in more of a listening role, let them get it off their chest, and then keep it moving, right? For others of you, this could just be saying things that you might want to communicate on the one hand, right? Like we said with the Ace of Wands in the third house, and maybe even a Page of Swords in the fifth. Also figuring out, okay, is the timing right here? Is the audience correct for me to be saying these things to, or should I just hold it back for now, right? So to me, I'm getting primarily that main energy there, which is to say you're taking a measured approach to how you communicate with others. And for your 12th house energy, which points to blind spots, mental health, spirituality, we have the Five of Wands. So yeah, so seeing this here, this is Leo energy, which actually is your natural 12th house. But seeing this here could just be saying that maybe you have some competing thoughts with yourself sometimes, where you feel one way about one thing, but then also another way, right? So you could have that inner battle going on where you're like, what's really, how do I really feel about this, right? So you have these thoughts that don't necessarily work together. If they're clashing together, you could just be trying to work out beneath the surface, like, okay, what do I really believe here, and how do I want to move forward from that? So, maybe some people will know that that's really what you have going on beneath the surface, but I feel like that's what's coming up there. All right, so for the bottom of the deck, we have the Seven of Cups. So yeah, this could just be pointing to the possibility that you have a lot of options at play, right? But none of them might jump out at you as a sure thing. You have to jump on it, right? So it could just be one of those things where you're in a bit more of an observer mode, right? Seeing if one of them really stands out among the rest with time. But we'll pull an oracle card to get some additional insight here, like we said in the beginning. So just going to give this a few shuffles, then we'll cut the deck and pull a card. All right, take this card here and get this out of the way. And we'll see what you got. All right, we have Ant Spirit, time to collaborate. There is the artwork, and the number is 1. So we'll see what this has to say. All right, the oracle message says when Ant Spirit comes to visit, it's to celebrate the benefits of working in a partnership with others as part of a community or tribe. Spirit reminds you that to build your dream, you need to work with others, accept help, and trust in your most important partnership, the one you have with Spirit. Your intentions will come to fruition if you remain awake and focused on co-creating your reality with others and with Spirit. Remember that the world around you can easily seduce you if you don't have some sort of practice or discipline like meditation to keep you on track as you build the life you desire. Connecting with others and having accountability partners can be very helpful, as it's unlikely that everyone will fall asleep at the same time. The other message Ant Spirit holds is that you that you are now at an auspicious time to ask for help and receive it, or if you need help assembling a team, finding a new tribe, or requesting assistance from others who are there for you. Everything is working to support you right now. So yeah, definitely a positive message there. It does make me think of the fact that you will have Mercury retrograde in your house of groups, friendships, right? So there could be some reworking around things there. In your 10th house, we have Uranus there, right? So quite a bit of energy buzzing there. We're going to have Mars moving into that sign on the 28th, I believe, of June. So it'll be there all of July. So plenty of energy around those community type houses for you guys. But yeah, overall, seems like a positive, and to an extent, maybe that even points to the devil energy we were talking about as well, right? Where, like I said, if you're in your home environment, you might find yourselves, just obsessing over things, and it could just become harmful after a while. And that's why I was saying, maybe you'd be better off to stay in that Page of Wands, more exploratory energy, get yourselves out there, right? But yeah, hopefully that resonated with you guys, and we'll wrap up there. All right, bye.